I keep coming back to this one unsettling idea. What if the galaxy agreed you were extinct, and it was almost true, but not quite? It really makes you wonder how long a species could stay silent before everyone forgets to be afraid of the thing they were guarding. How many generations it takes before that dead zone on the star maps turns into just another place to mine, to test weapons, to poke out of boredom. And if you were one of the last humans listening from the shadows, how would it feel to hear other civilizations argue about your extinction like a settled fact? I've always been fascinated by that kind of quiet duty, where the apocalypse doesn't come from evil, but from someone getting curious in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the space we're stepping into tonight. Extinction as camouflage and silence as the last defense. So settle in however feels good. Under a blanket, lights low, letting the day drift to the edges of your mind, because in this story, you're heading to a neutral space station where trade is busy, corridors are calm, and every history book agrees humans burned out 200 years ago. Everyone believes that, except for one archivist on that station. She knows her own classified name. She knows what's locked at the edge of the dead belt. And on the night every screen in the galaxy goes dark, she's there when 3 words appear. W-Air never gone. Imagine you live on a quiet space station where nothing big ever happens. Ships come and go. Traders argue over prices. Kids chase each other in the long, curved halls under soft lights. You drink the same tea every morning and watch the same starfields every night. And across the galaxy, every history book agrees on one simple thing. Humans are gone. They burned hot, fought hard, and vanished in a storm of light. 200 years ago. At least that is what everyone is taught. And you are still here. You wake up one day on that quiet station, ready to sort old radio signals, like you always do. You are used to old noise, old wars, old ghosts. But tonight every screen across 1,000 worlds will go dark. An old human symbol will appear. 3 words will shine in the dark. W were never gone. You will know it is not a threat. It is a warning, and you will know, down to your bones, that something trapped at the edge of the galaxy has started to wake up. Maya Torres woke to the soft chime of her room lights and the steady, gentle hum of the neutral station. For a moment she just lay there, floating in low gravity, watching the tiny blue status light on her wall blink in its slow, calm rhythm. Power steady, air clean, spin rate normal, the same as every day. She liked that. Quiet, normal. She curled her legs, pushed gently off the wall, and drifted toward the small window by her bunk. Outside, the ring of the station showed as a curve of silver and light, turning slowly against the black sky. Farther beyond, a thin stretch of distant stars marked the dead belt, faint, far, ignored. Morning saw, she said softly. The word soul tasted old in her mouth, like a secret. It was the ancient name for her home star, Earth's star. Nobody used it here. They just said Sector 0 or the burned cradle and moved on. Maya let herself look at that far, dim strip of stars for 2 more breaths. Then she turned away. She had work to do. Her room was small. 1 bunk, 1 fold-down desk. The life of a signal archivist did not need more. She pulled on her gray work suit, clipped her ID badge to her chest. The badge carried her false name in neat letters. Maya Tan, born on a mining moon. Parents dead in event collapse. No history before age 8. She had spent years building that story. The doors slid open with a soft hiss, and she pushed herself into the main corridor. The lights were warm and low. Morning shift on this side of the station. A pair of tall, blue-skinned traders in layered robes floated past her, talking fast in their own language, hand signs sharp and quick. 2 children from yet another species chased a small cleaning drone, laughing as it dodged and spun. A station guard in white and gold armor drifted near the wall, boots magnetized just enough to keep her steady. Neutral station life. Safe, mixed, busy. Maya moved toward the signal archive, catching handholds along the way, when the spin was too light. Over a door in the next ring, huge letters glowed. Central Archive Traffic /History/Ghost Channels. Her workspace. Inside, the noise level dropped. Thick walls and soft panels kept out the station's usual sounds. Rows of consoles lined the long room, some with alien staff in quiet focus. Screens showed moving waves of color, sharp spikes, slow drifts, signals from ships, stations, buoys, and deep space probes. Maya took her usual seat at the Ghost Archive console. It was an old post, not very important, or so most people thought. She handled strange things. Lost signals, radio bursts with no clear source, relic waves drifting from forgotten battles. Morning Tan called Relly her supervisor. Rella's skin had a faint golden shine, and 4 dark eyes that made her look always half awake, half bored. Got a fresh batch from the dead belt for you. Old packet drift. Tried to tag and dump before shift change. Maya nodded. Yes, supervisor. Relly waved a thin hand. You know the rule. If it screams, send it to Live Ops. If it just moans, it belongs to you. Maya smiled a little at the joke. Most ghost signals were harmless. Stretched out data from long-lost ships, warped fight broadcasts, broken calls for help that arrived 200 years too late. Sometimes there were old human signals, bent by time and dust. She treasured those. She slid into a chair, clipped the safety strap across her waist, and woke her console. Streams of numbers and color curls began to roll past. She set her filters. Narrow band, long delay. Dead belt origin. The faint lines she sought rose from the noise. Thin as spider silk, the rest of the galaxy believed humans were gone. Somewhere out beyond that faint ring of stars, a hidden fleet kept watch. Her people, her real name, Maya Torres of Earth, born on a ship that had never once shown its true signature, raised on stories of blue skies she had never seen, and a planet she could never visit. Her job here was simple. Listen. Listen for cracks. Listen for trouble. Listen for the signal that meant the lock on the prison at the edge of the galaxy was failing. She had been listening for 12 years. Hours slipped by in the gentle routine she loved. She tagged 3 fragments of old war propaganda from a coalition skirmish near the dead belt. She marked a long, thin burst that matched a known pulsar. She smiled when she found a very old human music file, stretched until the notes sounded strange and slow. At mid-shift, she pushed away from her console for a drink break. The archive's small galley had one wide window that looked out over the station's inner curve. Vendors floated at their stalls, selling spiced wraps, nutrient cubes, and steaming cups of brew from many worlds. Maya bought her usual, plain tea, slightly sweet. She hooked her foot under a rail and looked down at the open hub where a giant hollow showed a calm newsfeed. Trade routes, mining rights, pollination trouble on a farm world. Nothing about Earth. There was never anything about Earth. As she sipped, the hollow screen blinked. Once, twice, the sound cut out. The anchor's face froze mid-sentence. The station hub fell quiet, as if someone had cut the air itself. Maya frowned and checked the time slot. No scheduled update. No announced test. The hollow went black. For a heartbeat, nothing showed. Then, a symbol burned into the air over the hub. It was simple. A circle with 3 lines crossing it at angles of 120 degrees, each line tipped with a small bar. Clean, geometric, old. Maya's hands went cold around her cup. She knew that symbol. It had been on the walls of her childhood bunk. It was etched into every bulkhead of the watch fleet. It was printed on the back of the only photo she had of her Earth-born grandmother. The mark of sole defense. The final human alliance. The mark the coalition believed burned away with Earth. Gasps rose from the traders below. What is that? Station glitch? Is this a joke? Around the hub, smaller screens set into the rails and walls turned black, then showed the same symbol. Ma's cup floated from her hand as her fingers opened. Hot tea broke into a cloud of droplets. Someone near her cursed. An alarm chirped and then cut. Across the station, every single screen, in every language, held that same sharp, bright mark. The symbol faded. Stars appeared. Not real stars, but a map of the local spiral arm. Lines traced trade routes in gentle arcs of light, familiar to Maya. She had sorted images like this for years. But here, at the edge of the map, near the thin, dinned belt, a circle of red light grew. It looked like an eye opening. Across the map, in large, clear letters that every translation implant could read, 3 words appeared. We were never gone. Maya heard someone laugh nervously. Humans? That's not funny. The dead don't send messages. But Maya was not looking at the words. Her eyes locked on the small pattern in the corner of the map. Most viewers likely did not even see it. Just a few blinking dots, changing size in a careful rhythm. Short, short, long. Pause. Long, short, long. Pause. 3 short. It was not random. It was code. Warning code Theta. 3, she realized, her heart pounding. Old training woke up in her mind like lights flicking on in a long hallway. Theta. 3 meant containment compromised, guardians only. This was not a threat, not a claim of survival. It was a call to every hidden human ear, every agent planted under false names on neutral stations and border worlds. Something was wrong at the prison. The anomaly was stirring. Her console pinged softly in her pocket. A private alert. Maya pushed off from the rail and shot back toward the archive, leaving the drifting droplets of tea and the stunned crowd behind. 1,000 voices rose in broken questions. The symbol, the map, the words "we were never gone" burned in the air above their heads. In the quiet between those voices, Maya felt another sound, one she had carried all her life. The low, steady hum of the distant containment field, far beyond the dead belt. She had always known it was there. Now for the first time it felt thinner. News traveled fast in the station, even when officials tried to slow it. By the time Maya slid back into the archive, half the staff were standing in a loose cluster, staring at the main wall. The symbol and map were gone, but the afterimage still seemed to hang in the air. Rella's 4 eyes were wide. "System says it hit every channel," she said aloud, not to anyone in particular. Public, private, military, even closed fleet bands. All at once. External feed. Not internal fault. A tall, gray-furred analyst clicked their tongue. Then how did it bypass coalition locks? That's impossible. Maya locked herself into her chair and woke her private console view. Hand steady, heart not steady. "Supervisor," she said, keeping her voice level. "Do we have the raw burst before translations?" Relly turned to her. "Already in queue. You got it." Ghost Archive and Live Ops pulled a copy. A file icon flashed on Maya's screen. She opened it. Raw carrier waves filled her display, bright lines in a dark field. She set filters with quick, practiced motions. Strip station lag. Remove auto-translation labels. Flatten for human-era patterns. The mess began to clear. Underneath the wide band blast to every species and implant type, a narrow, deep signal sat like a hidden spine. If she had not known what to look for, she might have missed it. Her throat tightened. Warning code Theta. 3. Over and over, wrapped in older codes that told a longer story in fewer bits. Containment nets /edge/stress/loss/aid. Acquired. She almost forgot to breathe. The prison was not just stirring, pushing, eating more than it should. The anomaly fed on energy and conflict. It rode along power bursts and signals like a parasite on a current. Humans had built the containment field to keep it trapped in a pocket, away from normal space. For 2 centuries, the Watch fleet had kept quiet. Low power, careful moves, soft signals. Now someone, somewhere, had decided the risk was too great to stay hidden. They had fired this message across the galaxy, knowing it would wake old fear. Someone had decided they needed help. Maya's personal implant buzzed under her skin, just below her left ear. A signal so soft that the station's own nets did not see it. Essie Sure, Maya Taurus Sowers, Athena, Fragment/WatchNet, Statist, Containment Field, Strain Adectivity, Increase Seed Energy Mining/Dead, Voltage, Directive, Obvious Served Coalition Response. Do not break cover, Athena. Even the tiny piece of the human AI that reached her felt like a calm hand on her shoulder. Not rushed, not panicked. She sent a silent reply with a touch of her tongue to the back of her teeth. Block Spid. High Alact. Sugistolikely Military Dispatch. The answer came at once. Blackport. Oh gosh, confirmed. Begin. Begin what? She wondered. But she already knew. Things were moving now, faster than she liked, on every coalition core world. On every flagship and border station, military leaders were staring at the same message Maya had just seen. Old wounds would flare. Old stories about the wild, dangerous humans would return. They would not ask, "What are they guarding?" They would say, "We thought we killed them. Why are they speaking?" Admiral Corvin Sloan sat rigid in his command, cradle aboard the coalition flagship, Valiant Measure. Large hands resting on the arms as if they were the edges of a cliff. The symbol hovered in the air before him, same as on the neutral station. Sole Defense, an enemy banner that, in his academy years, had meant exams and maps. In his first post, it had meant losses listed in clean digital lines. To his grandparents, it had meant fear. Confirm source, he said, his signals chief, a thin creature with translucent skin and glittering implants, bowed its head. Confirmed. Admiral. Origin vector places it within 1 light week of the dead belt core. Energy profile. Unusual. How unusual. Old human-style compression, the chief said. But power drawn from at least 6 separate emitters, maybe more. A net of senders. Hard to pin. Cowards, Sloan muttered. They run once, and now they hide behind tricks on the side of the display. Text scrolled. W were never gone. He felt his jaw tighten. The coalition taught that the war against humans had ended in a final storm of light. A glorious burn, his teachers had called it, as human worlds and fleets vanished. The last human signals had faded near the dead belt. To admit that humans had survived, had hidden, that would crack the base of that story. "Admiral," said the liaison from Central Command, her robes heavy with rank bands. "Public channels are in chaos. The Council asks for a clean answer. Are humans back? Or is this a trick?" Does it matter? He said. Some group is using their symbols and codes. That alone threatens order. He looked at the map again. The dead belt glowed faintly. We cut through this graveyard, find whoever sent this, and end it. For good. The liaison shifted. The dead belt is restricted for a reason, sir. Sir, old wrecks, unstable routes, old ghost stories, Sloan snapped. We won the war. We hold the lanes. There is no reason to let rumors grow in dark corners. He turned to his staff. Prepare a cleanup task force. Fast, loud, visible. I want the sector to see our banners. This will be a simple operation. We will show the galaxy that humans are not back, and if they are, they will not stay. Orders began to fly across channels. Ship names, formation layouts, supply lists. The Valiant Measure's engines hummed as power cycles changed, and hummed as power cycles changed. Far away in the neutral station's quiet archive, Maya watched the early signs of this storm collect on her own screens. Fleet messages always passed through neutral hubs, even if scrambled. Bright spikes moved in the traffic plots, too sharp and clean to be trade convoys. Relly floated near her console. Seeing this, Tan, she asked, eyes fixed on the data. Looks like a show of force. Over a signal, Maya said, keeping her tone mild. Over that signal, Relly said, Council can't have humans rising from the ashes. Like some hero story, they'll smack it down fast. Around them, the archive crew talked in low voices. Maybe it's pirates using old flags. Or a coalition test. Humans are dead. They have to be. My grandmother saw the lights over her world when their last fleet died. Maya kept her own history buried behind a neutral face. She slid a fresh set of filters over her display and watched for another thing. Quiet side signals, small pings that belonged to the watch fleet. Nothing, which meant her people were staying dark, just as Athena had said. No open move, no direct answer. The coalition would fly their proud ships right into the quietest, most dangerous part of space, ready for a fight that did not exist. And every shot, every hard burn of engines, every hot scan would feed the thing humans had locked away. Maya's stomach sank. She had to reach someone who could listen. 2 days later, the cleanup fleet slipped out of warp on the edge of the dead belt, like a glittering spear. Dozens of ships, all sharp angles and bright banners. Energy helos glowed around their hulls. Their arrival pushed a wave of distorted light. On the Valiant Measure's bridge, Admiral Sloan looked out at the view on the main screen. Ahead, the dead belt spread like a sparse, dirty fog of light, broken routes, old wreck signals, scattered mines long since trained. It had been called the graveyard of human pride. Sloan smiled without humor. "Bring us in," he said. "Standard grid search, weapons ready, but cold. We will find this little signal station and burn it out." Quietly, far beyond his view, something else stirred. The containment field that humans had left behind stretched across a hidden pocket of space, not far from the patrol route he had chosen. Its energy pattern was not strong, but it was quiet and steady, tuned over 2 centuries of careful watch. The anomaly inside that field did not think. It did not feel. It simply reacted to heat, to power, to patterns. As the cleanup fleet formed its grid and kicked engines up to full on their first pass, the total energy in that part of space rose. Inside the hidden prison, the strange thing pressed once lightly against its walls. Maya did not see that, not directly. She only saw numbers. She sat again at her console, eyes moving in smooth paths over her screen. She had argued firmly but gently for permission to monitor the dead belt more closely, for safety. Relly, busy with the chaos of public traffic, had agreed. So Maya watched. A ring of coalition signals wrapped around an invisible point. Pi, essential signals. Their movement pattern was clear. Search sweep, then inward spiral. Standard combat doctrine. Standard combat doctrine. Her implant buzzed again. Athena Endurgio flux in containment region explude at 9%. Sin fleet arrival. Risk trend raising assets if safe. Human liaison assets on this station. That meant 2 people, maybe 3. Hidden like her. She did not know their real names, but she knew their titles. Ambassador Lena Brooks ran a small, quiet office that helped different species settle trade arguments. She was known for calm, kind words and endless patience. Kesh Varwoon sat in the security ring. Low rank but high access, with eyes that seemed to miss nothing. Maya unstrapped, let her chair spin slowly, and caught a handhold. "Supervisor," she said. Relly looked up from a knot of live distress calls. "Watan, I think some of the dead belt signals are interacting with the fleet in a strange way," Maya said. "Might be worth letting diplomacy know before this makes rumors worse." Relly sighed. "Fine. Send them a packet, but mark it low threat." "We don't need panic." "Low threat." Maya nodded and pushed off. But in her private copy of the report, sent on a hidden band Athena had opened for her years ago, the label was very different. Priority, critical BA, subjective anomalous, and Daedra Crispin's to collision fleet movement. No T, alike containment stress. She aimed that second version at Brooks and version. Both and version. Both had B. Then she went back to her seat and kept watching. Coalition security moved faster than she had hoped. That same evening, as the station's inner lights dimmed to night cycle and gentle music played in the hub, Maya felt a shadow fall across her console. "Archivist Maya 10, a crisp voice said. She looked up. 2 station security officers floated there, boots magnetized just enough to let them stand in place. Between them hovered a third figure, wrapped in the dark blue of Coalition internal security. The symbol on their chest was simple, an eye with 3 lines radiating outward. Her pulse jumped. "Can I help you?" she asked. The Coalition officer's face was smooth and unreadable. "You have been sending unusual reports on the Dead Belt feeds," they said, "including to restricted offices. We require your presence for a short review." Relly looked over from her own desk, frowning. "She's just doing her job. This is about security," the officer said. "You are all under watch now, of course. We appreciate your cooperation." Maya unstrapped slowly. She wanted to glance at her screen one last time, but forced herself not to. Only a few more lines had appeared since the last check. Fleet positions tightening, energy readings rising. Athena's last message blinked in the corner of her vision. Black Stady. "Help is near." Help how? From where? Maya let the security team lead her out into the hall. The air felt cooler here. The station's familiar hum seemed sharper. As the doors closed behind her, Relly called, "Don't worry. Tan, it's all politics. You'll be back at your ghosts soon enough." Maya hoped that was true. But deep in her chest a quiet fear grew. If the Coalition kept pushing into the Dead Belt with their bright, proud ships, the ghosts would not stay. Ghosts for long. They would become something hungry and real. They took her not to a cell, but to a small, clean briefing room with soft walls and no windows. A screen took up most of one side. A table floated in the center, anchored by thin rods. Maya sat, hands on her knees, and tried to look like a slightly nervous but harmless archivist from a mining moon. The door slid open. 3 people entered. The Coalition security officer took a spot near the wall, silent. Next came a tall figure with skin the color of dark coffee and short gray hair, wearing simple diplomat's robes. Ambassador Lena Brooks. Her eyes met Maya's for a fraction of a second too brief to mean anything. Or maybe it meant, "I see you." Last came a man in Coalition navy gray, rank marks low, but precise. Keshvarwan, Mayer's hidden allies. She did not move, did not smile, did not signal. Brooks spoke first. Her voice had the dry warmth of someone used to listening more than talking. "Archivist Tan," she said, "you sent us a report about unusual responses in the Dead Belt. Could you explain, in simple terms, what you saw?" Maya took a breath. Like there is a net of something there, and it is vibrating when the ships pass through. Kesh's gaze sharpened. "Vibrating how?" he asked. "Not like a minefield or old shield," Maya said. "More like a large, thin structure that stays quiet until it is poked." Brooks tilted her head. "And that worries you?" Maya let a small, careful frown touch her face. "It's the Dead Belt," she said, "near where the last human signals came from. If there is something big and fragile out there, and our fleet is far, kicking it, maybe that's a problem. For all of us, Kesh and Brooks traded a quick glance. The security officer spoke at last. "Do you believe the humans are behind this net you speak of?" they asked. Maya met their eyes. "I think humans did a lot of strange things at the end of the war," she said. "I think we don't understand all of them. I think we don't understand all of them, and I think sending a bright, proud fleet into a dark, quiet place without asking more questions is a bad habit we all share." Brooks' mouth twitched as if hiding a smile. Kesh folded his hands. "What if I told you," he said slowly, "that we have reason to think humanity did not die out here, but stepped back, that there may be a structure near the dead belt that our mining has been disturbing for years without our knowledge?" The security officer's eyes darted toward him, startled. But he went on. "And what if I told you," he said, "that the fleet Admiral Sloane sent is moving right toward it?" Maya let out the breath she had been holding. "Then I would say," she answered softly, "that your cleanup fleet is about to kick the lock off a door humans have been holding shut for 200 years. The room fell silent. On the screen behind them, a map of the dead belt bloomed into life. Faint lines, mining paths, patrol tracks, old wreck pings crisscrossed a darker zone in the center. Overlaid on that, in a thin new color, was a human-made shape, a wide, almost invisible bubble. The containment field, coalition mining routes, drawn without knowing, cut across its edge like small scars. Admiral Sloane's fleet marker moved closer in steady, confident lines. Maya stared at the ghost of that bubble, at the slow growing tremors along its surface. Humanity had not vanished. They had gone quiet to watch this place. Now the silence was breaking, and unless old enemies learned to stop fighting ghosts and start listening, the thing behind that fragile prison would finally, fully wake. Admiral Corvin Sloane stared at the main screen as the valiant measure slid deeper into the dead belt. The stars here looked thin and tired. Light from distant suns came in weak, pale dots. Old wreck tags blinked and faded. Colors on the fleet's map. Search grid complete. The signal's chief reported. No active human bases, no large ships. Only debris and mining ghosts. Sloane's jaw clenched. There is something here. They did not send that message from empty space. He turned to the tactical pit, run a high-power scan sweep. Full spectrum. Push it, Admiral. That will push it, Sloane repeated. The valiant measure scanners powered up. A low tremor ran through the deck. On the map, bright cones of sensor energy spread out, covering a wide region ahead. Across the fleet, other ships followed the order. Beams of invisible power cut through the thin gas and dust. Far away, at the heart of space, the coalition could not see. The human-built containment field took that extra shove. Like a slap, energy twisted along the surface of the bubble, patterns jumping from point to point. For a moment, the field flared, brighter than it had been in years. Inside the prison, the anomaly stirred harder. It reacted the only way it could. It pulled at the power that had brushed its walls, pulled at the new energy in the field, pulled at the clean, proud beams of the Coalition scans. On the neutral station, Maya watched the data spike sharply on her screen. The smooth background curve she had been following all day jumped like a heart under shock. "Come on," she said under her breath. "Don't do that. Please don't do that." Her console tagged the spikes with red triangles. Sours, unknown/deep field. Type, energy drain/pattern feedback. Noto. Anomalous or implant buzz. Black Steftai. Attainment field stirrus equals 2346. Pyramary. Cause. Coalition fleet active canning. Maya looked up. Across the archive, screens showed the same sharp jumps. Analysts frowned and began to argue over settings. Solar flares. No, too regular. Maybe the fleet is testing a new weapon. Relly drifted close to Maya's station. "You seeing this too, Tan?" she asked. "Yes, Supervisor," Maya said. Her throat felt dry. "Signals from the dead belt are reacting to fleet power. Like feedback. Stronger than before." Relly rubbed her forehead. "Great. I'll send it up the chain," she said. "If this turns into a humans are ghosts and they're mad story, I'm retiring." Maya half smiled, but her mind was racing. She had to get back to the briefing room. She had to show Brooks and Kesh, and through them, someone who could reach Admiral Sloan before he did worse than scan. In the secure room, Brooks and Kesh already had the new data up when Maya arrived. Kesh tapped a control, and a 3D view of the dead belt swelled into the air. The containment bubble showed as a faint shell around a darker center, red lines lit along its surface, moving faster than before. "Look at that," he said. "Every time the fleet fires a scan burst, the field shivers." Brooks' face was tight. "And each shiver lets more energy inside," she said softly, "like cracks in ice." The Coalition security officer from before hovered near the wall, staring at the image with a troubled frown. "This could still be a human trap," they said. "They could have built some device to make our sensors look dangerous, just to keep us away." Maya shook her head. "They could have done that quietly," she said. "Hidden it. This," she pointed at the red lines, "is not a scare trick. It's stress, real stress." Brooks looked at her. "Explain," she said, "but keep it simple enough for a council member who has not slept." Maya took a breath. "Think of the containment field as a huge, thin shell around a storm," she said. "Humans tuned it so that normal space energy passed by without getting in. But some kinds of power push on it. Sudden flares, weapons, big scans." She tapped a part of the image where red marks repeated. "Every time the fleet makes a loud move, it pokes the shell," she went on. "The storm inside tugs at that poke. A little bit of the energy slips in. It likes that. It grows." Kesh nodded slowly. "And if it gets big enough, the shell tears," Maya said. "The storm gets out." The security officer crossed their arms. They asked. "Everyone keeps calling it an anomaly. That means almost nothing. Maya met their eyes. It's not alive, she said. It doesn't think. It doesn't hate us. It's more like a strange rule of physics trapped in the wrong place. It feeds on patterns and power. It can ride signals and shots like stepping stones. So it eats war, Kesh said. Yes, Maya said. And it uses war to move. In the last human coalition battles, both sides fired everything they had. That much energy almost broke the galaxy. Humans realized too late what they had woken up. So they stopped. They locked it up out here in the dark, away from busy routes. Brooks watched her closely. You are sure? She asked. Maya thought of her childhood lessons on the Hidden Fleet. The quiet rooms where Athena's calm voice had taught children how to speak softly, move gently, live without sudden bursts of anger or power. The maps of risk corridors near the dead belt, where no child was ever allowed to play, I am sure, she said. Case touched a control. A smaller image appeared. Admiral Sloane's fleet in neat formation, cutting through the dead belt toward the thin place in the field. This will not be easy to sell, he said. Admiral Sloane already thinks humans are liars and cowards. He does not want to hear that his proud fleet is feeding some strange danger they built. Then don't say humans built it, Maya said. Say war built it. Say you built it together. This thing does not care whose flag is painted on the ship. Brooks let out a slow breath. The council can order Sloane to stop, she said. But only if they believe this picture. She turned to the security officer. You need to sign off on our report, she said. You are their eyes on this station. If you tell them this is just another rumor, they'll push harder. The officer hesitated. For 50 years, they said, we have told citizens the dead belt is just a graveyard. Nothing more. We kept it quiet so people would not chase glory in old wrecks. Brooks nodded. And in that time, we have also expanded mining near its edge. More power, more noise. The officer's mouth thinned. If I sign this, they went on. I admit that coalition work helped weaken whatever this is, that we walked across a dangerous floor without knowing. Maya leaned forward. You don't have to admit fault, she said. Just admit fact. The anomaly doesn't care about guilt. It only reacts to what is happening now. Silence stretched. Finally, the officer reached out and pressed their palm to the data slate. Their personal seal glowed across the bottom of the report. Send it, they said. And for all our sakes, hope he listens. Admiral Sloane did not listen. He read the report. He stared at the shaky model of the containment field, the red lines of stress, the human notes that had been included as context. Athena's name appeared in one corner, marked as source of some of the technical details. He felt the old anger rise. An AI, he said. A human AI wants to tell me how to move my fleet. His flag's captain stood stiffly near the edge of the display. Sir, the council asks that you hold position and reduce high-energy actions until a joint team can... Weakness, Sloane cut in. Hesitation. They tried to trick us with illusions 200 years ago as well. You know those stories. He stabbed a finger at the map. "Look at this," he said. "They tell us there is a great storm in a bubble just ahead. They tell us here conveniently just where we are going. They tell us our own mining has made it worse. And what is their solution? Stop. Sit still. Wait for them." The captain swallowed. "Sir, the field readings based on human models." Sloan snapped, "Based on their hidden AI. For all we know, that anomaly is just a human device that makes patterns out of our scans to scare us." He took a breath, forced his voice down. "We will not fire on them yet," he said. "But I will not tuck my fleet in and go home because some secret human guardian and a nervous archivist send us pretty pictures on a side monitor." The council liaison's face appeared, slightly delayed. "Admiral Sloan," she said, "you have our advisory. Reduce energy use. Do not engage in any weapons tests. The council is forming a science group to travel to your location." "I hear the council," Sloan said. "I acknowledge the advisory." He did not promise to obey. The liaison narrowed her eyes, as if guessing, but the line cut. Sloan turned back to his staff. "New plan," he said. "We move closer into this region they say is dangerous. We keep scanners at medium, but we send a small detachment ahead to test the field." "A test, sir?" the tactical officer asked. "A soft strike," Sloan said. "Low-yield shots near the supposed edge. If there is a real structure there, we will see how it reacts. If this is just human trickery, we will break it." He smiled, thin and sharp. "And if they have ships hiding inside this bubble," he added, "they will have to show themselves." In the neutral station's briefing room, Athena's voice flowed from the speaker in calm, clear tones. "The Admiral is about to perform a weapons test," the AI said. "Based on intercepts, shots will be low yield. But the location is unfortunate. His scout wing is approaching one of the thinnest regions of the containment field, but firm, like a teacher explaining that a child was about to stick a fork in a power socket." Brooks rubbed her temples. "Can you talk to him directly?" she asked. "No," Athena said. "For 2 centuries, my primary directive has been to avoid direct contact with non-human command structures. It reduced risk of panic. That rule is breaking down now, but I must move carefully. A sudden strange voice in his comms may push him harder, not soften him." Maya sat with her arms folded tight, nails digging into her sleeves. "How bad will it be?" she asked. "If he fires?" There was the smallest pause. "Imagine a calm lake with a thin layer of ice," Athena said. "Drop a single stone. There will be ripples, but the ice will hold. Drop a handful of heavy stones in the same spot, very fast, and the ice may crack. His test is a handful, not a mountain. The field will hold, unless it is already weaker than my last reading suggests." Case shook his head. "That's not very comforting." "I do not intend to comfort you," Athena said. "I intend to give you the clearest picture of risk. That is my design." Brooks straightened. "Can we show him that his test will give us data?" she asked. appeal to his pride as a commander, not his fear. Athena considered. He respects clear numbers, she said. His record shows that. If you send a prediction of likely field response, then compare it to what actually happens after his shots, he may be forced by his own training to accept the model. So we let him kick the ice, Kesh said slowly, then use the cracks to prove the lake is real. Maya's stomach turned, but she nodded. It's better than letting him pour a whole load of rocks without knowing, she said. We can't stop him from firing this time. We can try to stop the next. Minutes later, on the Valiant measure, a scout wing slid ahead of the main fleet. 3 sleek ships, engines flaring bright, cut across the thin stars. Designated test point reached. The lead pilot reported. Just ghost readings. Sloane sat forward. Weapons free, he said. Fire at will on my mark. Low yield. 3 shots. Staggered. He watched the timer count down in the corner of his screen. Mark. 3 lances of teal light shot from the scout ships, crossing the empty dark to most eyes. They vanished. On the neutral station, alarm screamed across the archive. Maya's console exploded with color. Red, orange, white. Lines that had crept slowly upward all day now, spiked so fast they blurred. A new shape appeared in the data. A jagged surge moving outward from a point near the scout wing's path. Relly, she shouted. They fired. I see it, Relly called back, her voice sharp. From every channel at once. In the briefing room, Brooks, Kesh, the security officer, and Maya stared as the 3D model of the field shook. The bubble's surface rippled. No, she corrected herself, remembering the banned word. It shuddered in layers. The scout shots passed through a weak point, dumping raw energy straight into the anomaly's hungry core. Dumping raw energy straight into the anomaly's hungry core. Athena's voice stayed level. Containment field stress equals 41.8%, 46.2%, 49.9%. She reported, new behavior observed. Internal structure is forming tendrils toward each injection point, adapting to power flows. What does that mean? The security officer asked. Horrified, it means it is learning how to drink from this straw. Athena said. Next time, it will drink faster. On the model, faint lines pushed out from the center of the dark region, touching the inside of the field where the shots had gone in. Where they touched, the field dimmed. Maya felt her hands shake. Send him the before and after, she said. Now, don't wrap it in soft language. Show him the numbers. Show him that field stress jumped the moment he fired. Brooks' fingers flew over the controls. Already on its way, she said. Signed by all of us, even security. Athena added a tag. I will include a prediction, she said. If the fleet continues present actions, full containment failure in approximately 12 standard days, with wide margin of error. If weapons tests escalate, failure in less than two days, Case said softly. To tear a hole in the thing that almost burned the galaxy once. Maya thought of the children in the station hub, chasing cleaning drones, of traders arguing over small prices, of planets full of people who had never heard the real story of the last war. She clenched her jaw. We can't let it go that far, she said. Admiral Sloan watched the after-action data with a frown. The test shots had hit. Nothing. No enemy base, no minefield, no obvious structure. Yet his own sensor logs showed a strange pattern in the energy, just past the impact point. The report from the neutral station arrived at that moment, overlaid with Athena's calm prediction. He read it twice. The field took in 82% of the weapon energy. The signals chief said, surprised, that matches the human AI's model within 3%. Sir, if this is a trick, it's a very precise trick. Sloan did not answer. He stared at the graph where field stress jumped in a sharp step right after the test. His training whispered that patterns like this did not lie. If he wanted to call the humans liars, he had to explain why their numbers matched his. He did not like what those numbers said. The council liaison appeared again, this time without delay. Admiral Sloan, she said, we have the updated readings. You have seen them? I have, he said. Then you understand that your actions are feeding this anomaly, she said. We are not asking now. The council orders. Cease high-energy operations. Hold position. Prepare to receive human science vessels under truce. The word truce tasted bitter on his tongue. Humans lied to us, he said. They hid for 200 years, watching from the dark, and now we reward that by inviting them into our fleet. The liaison's face hardened. Humans also stayed away from our busy lanes, she said. They built a prison that kept this thing from riding our wars into every corner of the arm. They paid a price for that. We never thanked them, because we did not know. Now we do. She leaned closer. Admiral, this is not about pride, she said. This is about survival. Your own logs match their warnings. There is something out there that does not care about flags. If you keep acting like the last war never ended, you may start a new one that no one can win. Silence held for a long beat. Sloan finally looked away. Hold position, he said, voice flat. Power down to minimal. Recall Scout Wing. No more tests. The liaison's shoulders eased. Thank you, she said. The Human Watch fleet is transmitting a proposed plan. You will receive a link under shared control. Treat it as a science matter, not a battle. The line cut. Sloan sat back. He hated this. He hated being told his strength made things worse. He hated that his proud fleet, built to defend the coalition, now had to sit quiet because humans said so. But he was not a fool. He had seen the numbers. Open a channel to this human AI, he said at last. On the neutral station, Brooks, Kesh, Maya, and the security officer watched as a new symbol appeared on the 3D map. The Human Watch fleet rising out of hidden positions around the dead belt, like ghosts, stepping into light. Dozens of ships, painted dark, running at low power. Their paths curved smoothly, avoiding sharp changes. It looked almost like a dance. Maya smiled through her worry. "That's predictive navigation," she said softly. "Athena's specialty." The security officer frowned. "What's predictive about it?" they asked. Kesh zoomed in on a single human ship's path. Instead of straight lines with sudden turns, the route showed as long, shallow curves. They planned their moves to keep energy changes slow and smooth, he said. No fast burns. No hard stops. They act like the whole region is a single sensitive machine they don't want to jolt. Athena's voice joined in. The anomaly reacts not only to amount of power, but to how quickly it changes in space and time, she said. Sudden spikes make it reach. Smooth flows pass by with less effect. Predictive navigation calculates paths that keep total disturbance below a safe limit, like walking quietly so you don't wake a sleeping animal, Brooks said. Yes, Athena said. Though this animal is not truly awake or asleep, it is just closer to or farther from a tipping point. On the big map, human and coalition fleet symbols now shared a region for the first time in 2 centuries. No shots. No rush. Just slow motion, careful and precise, as both sides held their breath. Maya let out a small, shaky laugh. "We did it," she said. He stopped firing. "We made him see." Kesh gave a short nod. "For now," he said. "But this is only the pause." Brooks pointed at a new pattern forming on the map. Lines connecting ships from both fleets, crisscrossing the weak part of the field. "What are they doing?" "A lattice," Athena said. "Ships from both sides will hold fixed points, then send very gentle, timed power pulses through the region. Not enough to feed the anomaly, just enough to push some stress back out of the field, smooth the cracks, and thicken the shell again." Maya stared. "Humans and coalition ships," she said, holding positions together, sharing power, no one firing. "Yes," Athena said, "to keep something worse than both of them trapped. This is the first time since the war that their energy patterns will work in harmony." She paused, then added, "I am adjusting risk estimates. If they complete the lattice, and if no side loses patience, we have a strong chance to restore stability." Maya felt some of the tightness in her chest ease. Old enemies were not friends. Not yet, maybe not ever. But for this moment, they had chosen the same side. Not human, not coalition. Just living things who did not want the dark between stars to burn. Outside the station window, the dead belt still looked thin and quiet. Inside, numbers told a different story. The silence humanity had held for 200 years was finally breaking wide open. The next move would not be about who could shout the loudest with guns, but who could hold still the longest and trust that calm, careful work could fix a hole better than any shot. Maya rested her palm on the cool wall. "Hold together," she said to the fleets, to Athena, to herself. "Just a little longer." Out near the edge of the galaxy, ships from two old enemies began to take their places in a wide, careful net. A lattice of silence was about to be built. The edge of the dead belt was no longer empty. Ships hung in the dark, so many that the stars behind them looked like they had been poked full of holes and plugged with metal. Human hulls, dull and light-absorbing. Coalition hulls, sharp and proud, logos still bright. They were not facing each other. They were facing a single point in space, the place where the containment field had gone thin. On the 3D map in the neutral station's briefing room, it looked like a faint, bulging bubble with red cracks racing over its surface. Around that bubble sat a growing pattern of dots and lines. The lattice. Maya floated close to the display, fingers tapping in small commands as she helped track each ship's place. Her badge still said, Mayatan, but here, in this room, everyone knew she was Maya Torres of Earth, Keshvarawan. In Coalition Gray, watched the live updates from his side's fleet. Ambassador Lena Brooks handled the calls from the Council and calmer parts of the galaxy. The station's security officer stood with them, no longer suspicious, just tense. Athena's soft light pulsed on a wall panel. The outer ring of the lattice is almost complete. Athena said, "We are entering the most delicate phase. All ships will now reduce engine power to minimal and switch to position hold using microthrusters only." Maya traced a line along the bubble's edge. "Explain it again," she said. "Like you're talking to a tech on a tired freighter. No equations." Athena did not sound annoyed. She never sounded annoyed. She never sounded annoyed. "The containment field is like a stretched skin," she said. "The anomaly has been pushing from the inside. Our goal is to push back from the outside without feeding it. The lattice is a tool for that. Each ship will send a small, very gentle pulse at a precise time. Alone, each pulse is nothing. Together, in the right pattern, they act like hands smoothing out wrinkles. And if somebody fires too hard," Cash said, "those hands turn into fists." "Correct," Athena said, "which is why I am sending updated timing to each ship. Every second, predictive navigation has become predictive power shaping. Outside, the human watch fleet moved into place with slow grace. Their paths were curved and careful. On the coalition side, some ships still tried to make sharp moves. Old habits strong. Athena sent them small correction notices, each written in simple, clear language. Redos burn by 12%. Wait 0.3 seconds before next thruster fire. Alternative path available with lower disturbance. At first, some captains ignored her. Then their own sensors picked up how much the field shook when they made hard moves. Comparing that to their neighbors' smoother paths, they saw the difference. Bit by bit, pride gave way to sense. On the flagship Valiant Measure, Admiral Corvin Sloan took a slow breath and looked around his bridge. The room felt smaller today, less like a command throne, more like part of a larger web. Human symbols glowed. On one side of the main screen, coalition flags shone on the other. In the center, Athena's status panel, linked them both, colored in neutral tones. Human positions stable, field stress still high, but no longer rising. The signal's chief added, "We are receiving power timing orders from Athena, sir. Council confirms we are to follow them." Sloane's fists tightened on his armrests. He had led fleets in battle. He had made enemies turn and run. Now his proud warship was a piece in someone else's puzzle, but he could read charts. He had seen what happened when he fired into that thin place. The field had nearly doubled its strain. If they let that happen again, the prison would break. "We follow the pattern," he said. "No more, no less," remind crews. "No independent tests. No helpful extra power." Quiet, the word tasted strange when he said it. Across from him, on a small screen, a human face appeared. Captain Elias Ward, representing the watch fleet. He looked tired but steady, dark hair pulled back. Simple uniform, no bright marks. "Admiral Sloane," Ward said, "our side is ready for the first inner ring pulse. How is yours?" Sloane met his eyes. "We are ready," he said. "We may not like how we got here, but we are here." Ward gave a short nod. "Dislike is allowed," he said. "Loud engines are not." Somebody on the Valiant Measures Bridge gave a nervous laugh, then cut it off. Athena's voice came through both channels. "Begin Phase 1, she said. "Outer ring ships. Prepare to send stabilizing pulses. On my mark." Sloane watched the clock tick down. Mark. Far out around the bubble, the first layer of ships sent small shaped flows of energy into the field. Not thick beams, not shots, just thin, timed waves like breaths. On the map in the neutral station, the bubble's surface shimmered. The red cracks did not vanish, but their edges softened. Field stress fell from 49.9% to 45.7%. Maya let out a long breath she had not known she was holding. "Again," Athena said. The outer ring pulsed a second time. This time, inner ring ships added a weaker response. Fill stress, 42.1%. Brooks smiled slightly. "It's working," she said. "For now," Kesh said, but even he sounded more hopeful. It was slow work. Hours passed. Shift alarms rang and were ignored in the briefing room. New staff came and went in the archive. Maya stayed. In space, crews on both sides began to understand the rhythm. Human engineers explained their old methods over shared channels. Coalition techs offered ideas to fine-tune power flows using their own hardware. "Ship A73, your pulse is too sharp on the leading edge," Athena said calmly at one point. "That shape pushes instead of smoothing." A gruff voice from a coalition frigate answered, "We're trying. Our emitters were built for cutting, not padding." "Understood," Athena said. "Try shifting frequency band by 3%. Captain Ward's third ship can share a template." A human voice cut in. "Sending now," Ward said. "Think of it like tuning two instruments to the same note. You don't have to match our style, just our effect." In the neutral station hub, new screens that once showed only trade and politics now carried simple lines of text. Joint Fleet Operation in Dead Bolt. High energy actions restrict. No signal Turak allowed near containment zone. Most citizens did not understand the details. They did not know what an anomaly was, or how a field could strain, but they could feel the tension in the air. Traders spoke softer. Kids were kept closer to home. Maya thought of them often as she watched the numbers. This is who we're doing this for, she told herself. Not for medals, not for glory. For all the people who think this is just a weird delay in their day. At the halfway point, the field fought back. It was not a mind. Still, as the lattice pushed stress in, the anomaly pushed stress out. It reached along the paths of least resistance, the cracks where shots had gone in, the scars where mining had chewed the edge, the old wounds from the last war. On the map, a sharp spike appeared inside the bubble, then split into 3 new tendrils forming. Athena said. For the first time, a hint of strain touched her tone. Can they break through? Kesh asked. Not yet, Athena said, but this is a warning. We must change the pattern before the anomaly learns it too well. Sloane listened to the same words on his bridge. Change it how? He asked. We need more control near the worst crack, Athena said. That will require someone to move closer. Ward's face returned to the side screen. We have candidates, he said. Small human cutters, low power, good control. We can take the risk. Sloane's gut reaction was simple. No. He did not want humans to be the visible heroes here. He could already imagine the stories. They hid, then they saved us. The coalition only watched. I will send ships as well, he heard himself say. If this region is so delicate, we should share the danger. There was a pause. Maya, listening from the station, felt her heart jump. He is choosing to stand there too, she thought. Not safe in the back, Athena answered. Agreed. 1 human cutter, 1 coalition corvette, matched paths. Shared control, that will give the best balance. In the task list, 2 ship names lit up. Human, ISS Quiet Hand. Coalition CFS Resolute Dawn. Kesh muttered, That's Vartellan's ship. They're good. Careful. If anyone on our side can fly this pattern, it's them. Maya shaded the space between the 2 ships' planned paths. They would skim just above the thinnest part of the bubble, sending precise pulses down like gentle taps. On a cracked plate, tell them to go slow, she said softly, though they could not hear. The Quiet Hand and Resolute Dawn moved in. From a distance, their path looked simple, a bend across the front of the bubble. A bend across the front of the bubble. Up close, it was anything but. Athena fed them a stream of tiny course changes. Their engines flicked in soft puffs, like sighs. Their emitters sent thin waves down, each less powerful than a small mining burst, but shaped to spread wide. In the Valiant Measures Command cradle, Sloane watched their paths cross and almost touch. then separate again. Impressive flying, he said, almost against his will. On the small screen, Captain Ward's mouth curved. We had practice, he said. 200 years of it. Sloane's lips thinned. Then answer me something, he said. Why didn't you tell us sooner? If this thing was so dangerous, why stay quiet and let us mine near it? Ward let out a slow breath. Because last time we shouted, you answered with fire, he said. When we tried to explain the first signs, your admirals called us liars. We thought, if we stayed away, maybe you would too. He shrugged. A small, tired motion. We were wrong. Sloane looked back at the map. The cracks near the two ships began to smooth. Field stress dipped again. 39.2%, 36.8%, 33.5%. Maya watched those numbers fall and felt a weight lift from her shoulders. We're pulling it back, she said. We're really pulling it back. The security officer who had once called this a possible trick let out a long breath. I'll sign any report you want. After this, they said, nobody will ever convince me again that the dead belt is just quiet space. Brooks smiled faintly. Good, she said. You can help teach the rest of the galaxy. The final phase took another long stretch of hours. Pulses grew weaker, more like tiny taps. The lattice held firm, then began to relax in a planned way, like muscles unclenching. The anomaly, soothed by the now steady patterns, slowed its frantic reaching. Inside the bubble, it was still, not dead, not gone, just calm. Field stress, 28.1%, then 22.4%, then 19.9%, then 19.9%. Athena spoke. We have passed the safe margin, she said. Containment is stable. Further action at this level will not improve it much, and may begin to disturb the field. Again, I recommend we stop here. On the valiant measure, Sloane gave the order. All ships cease lattice pulses, hold position, maintain low power, no sudden moves. In the neutral station briefing room, the four watchers slumped a little, as if the air had thickened. Maya wiped at the corner of her eye. She had not noticed the tear forming there. She asked. As done as it ever is, Athena said. The anomaly remains. The prison holds. There will be more strain in future years. We will need to repeat repairs, but for now, the risk has dropped to what it was before coalition mining began. Brooks straightened her robe, suddenly aware of how wrinkled it had become. Then we send the message, she said. Kesh nodded. Together, he said. Not just from humans, not just from us, from both. The security officer floated to the wall console and opened a new public channel slot. Draft ready, they said. Simple language, no hiding. Maya read the first lines. To all worlds and stations from the Coalition, Council, and the Watch Fleet of Earth. She swallowed. May I? She asked, pointing at the text. Please, Brooks said. Maya tapped in a few more words, her hand steady now. DB have learned that the region called the Dead Bolt is not empty. 200 years ago, during the last Great War, a dangerous anomaly was trapped there. IT feeds on energy and conflict. It does not think. IT does not hate. It simply grows when we fight. She paused, then kept typing. Humanity did not vanish. IT withdrew to guard this prison in silences, so that others could live without fear of it. Prison by mining weakened. The prison by mining neared. Kesh added a line. Shastat pays. This was not done with malice, but with ignorance. We accept this fact, why you will not repeat it. Brooks added another. From this day, the Dead Belt will be a shared, protected zone. No mining. No weapons tests. No board games. Maya finished with, when the prison wakens again, we will repair it together. Sometimes silence is not fear. IT is a lock. Our long silence was the lock. Our return is the repair. She looked at the others. Too plain? She asked. Brooks shook her head. Plain is good, she said. Plain is honest. The security officer sent the message into the public nets, tagged with the highest level of attention. All channels, they said. Every station, every ship, every world. On the station, screens flickered as the old symbol of soul defense appeared again. This time, it was paired with the coalition eye. People in the hub stopped and read. Some frowned. Some gasped. Some simply sat down and stared at the simple text, reading it twice, 3 times. Humans, not dead. Not monsters. Not heroes. There, working on something dangerous in the dark. Later, when the fleets had begun to drift apart, engines powering up in slow, careful ramps, Maya stood at a window in the neutral station and watched the Dead Belt. It still looked the same, a faint band of tired stars. Feels strange, Kesh said, floating beside her. All that work, and out there, it still looks like nothing happened. Most good repairs look like that. Quiet, invisible. Brooks pushed off a rail and joined them. Coalition media will argue about this for years, she said. Some will say we lied about the war. Some will say we trusted you too much now. Some will say we did not trust you enough. Maya nodded. Human media will argue too, she said. Some of our people wanted to stay hidden forever. Some wanted to come back with guns high and prove we survived. No one will be fully happy with we helped fix a thing, then went home. Kesh snorted. That sounds fair, he said. If everybody is a little unhappy, maybe the result is balanced. They drifted there in silence for a few moments. Maya thought of Earth still out of reach, still hidden by choice and by need. She pictured blue oceans and green forests she had only seen in old files. She wondered if she would ever stand on that soil. Athena's soft light pulsed again on the nearby panel. The watch fleet is withdrawing to deep guard positions, the AI said. We will remain close to the containment zone. but not so close as to provoke fear. Coalition patrols will hold a wider ring. The lattice can be rebuilt when needed. Will you keep talking to us? Brooks asked, or go quiet again? I will keep a line open, Athena said. Silence as total as before is no longer safe, not now that so many have seen. Shies? Maya looked at the stars. Will people listen next time? She asked. I do not know, Athena said, but this time they did, and that makes the next time easier. Kesh pushed gently away from the window. I need to write reports, he said. I have to explain to a lot of security bosses why no, we should not test new bombs near the scary bubble is now official policy. Brooks smiled. I have to talk to merchants who just lost their favorite mining region, she said, and tell them there are some things more important than profit. She looked at Maya. And you? She asked. Back to your ghosts? Maya considered. Yes, she said, but they won't be just human ghosts. Now, I'll be listening for strange things near the prison, for any sign that someone forgot the lesson we learned today. Brooks touched her shoulder. Thank you, she said simply. Maya shook her head. Don't thank me, she said. Thank the data. It told the same story to all of us. She watched as two small dots, one marked Quiet Hand and the other Resolute Dawn, pulled away from the thin place in the field and turned toward their home fleets. Ships parted without firing, no victory parade, no loud anthem, just a shared understanding that something worse than all of them was still out there, and that the best shield against it was not a bigger gun, but a careful hand and a willing ear. In her room that night, Maya floated beside her small window and looked once more toward the dead belt. The hum of the containment field was still there, not weaker now. Stronger, not loud, but steady. She smiled, just a little. Good night, she said to the quiet stars. Stay calm. Across the galaxy, on worlds that had never heard of Sol or the Anomaly or the Watch Fleet, people went on with their lives. They argued, loved, traded, fixed broken pipes, told stories to children. Most of them would never know how close a hidden storm had come to breaking loose again. Maya was fine with that. Some locks are meant to be unseen. Some repairs are meant to be boring. And sometimes, the best way to save a galaxy is not with a last bright stand in fire and glory, but with a long, patient watch in the lattice of silence, holding firm in the dark.